Chip, are you there?
How are you, brother?
Well, I'm, I would be better if I thought you were bringing happy news to the table. But the House and Senate have put together a budget that they say is going to cut spending. Whew, boy, is it ever. And really has nothing to do with the border, does it?
Yeah, Glenn, look, I mean, first of all, greetings from West Des Moines, Iowa, where it's, I think, a balmy 20 degrees outside, but and a snowstorm coming in. But the real snowstorm coming in is coming into D.C. that's going to hammer the American people. The Republicans doing exactly what they always do, which is be the party of excuses, the party that will never find a way to not capitulate and spend more money that we don't have and rack up more debt. So what are we doing now under Speaker Johnson, right? New speaker, more of the same garbage. We're going to have a bill that's $1.66 trillion. That is almost, I think that's about $58 billion more than the disastrous Nancy Pelosi omnibus bill that Republicans opposed a year ago. It is $100 billion more than what we would get if Republicans had the spine to walk onto the House floor and send a simple, year-long continuing resolution over to the Senate that would trigger the cuts, all be they meager, in the debt deal last summer. It would trigger cuts that we could get $1.562 trillion in spending. They won't do that because they're all in the hip pocket of all the lobbyists and they hide behind our military. And now we're not going to get the border secure. We're going to spend $100 billion more than we have to. We're going to increase spending over the Nancy Pelosi spending deal. And Republicans are going to go try to sell you and the American people that that's somehow a win. Don't believe them. This is what the American people are tired of. And I'm going to call balls and strikes. I call balls and strikes on Kevin. I'm going to call balls and strikes on Mike as Speaker. People should call balls and strikes on me. That's the way it works.
So, Chip, we're running out of time and options here. I don't know if anybody in Washington has seen that. But the Republicans, they don't care about, they are not in touch with the average American. They're just not, at least in the ruling class of Republican circles. They're, I don't know, in it for themselves or just completely delusional on what the country is facing now. The border alone is such a major stress on absolutely everything, from national security to the economy, to our social fabric, to our social services. What is the average person supposed to do at this point?
Well, I think what Republican leadership would tell you in the House and the Senate is that they're trying to negotiate a border deal right now on the back of a Ukraine spending fight. Now, here's my problem with that. Yet again, I'm being asked to accept in October, November, I was asked to accept twice continuing resolutions of Nancy Pelosi's spending levels. Then I was asked to eat a National Defense Authorization Act, which got rid of almost all of our policy changes we put in our version, and then extended FISA for 16 months so we can have a government continue to spy on the American people. And now I'm being asked to accept this ridiculous spending deal with no real border security measures in it. They'll be token, so that I'll get a promise. Trust me, right? Trust me, Chip. We will do border security on a Ukraine deal when half of the American people don't even want to give another dollar to Ukraine anyway, irrespective of whether you actually got a border deal, which neither you nor I nor your listeners believe will actually materialize.
So wait. Chip, help me out. Which one? Yeah. I think they're both a gun to the head dangerous, but which one is more pressing right now? The financial, the budget deal, or the border?
In my view, they're actually both important, but I will take border security first.
Me too.
But here's the problem. We can do both. We have in our hands, because of the work we did last year, through all the speaker fights and negotiations. I don't want to set aside. I don't want people to totally give up hope. We fought last year, and we did what we've never done before. We passed a border security bill in H.R. 2 that would actually do the job. It is so good that the Wall Street Journal today was editorializing against it, saying it was too hard, that it had things in there about building the wall, that it had E-Verify in there. So if the Wall Street Journal is editorializing against your border bill, it's probably a good border bill. So you've got our border bill, which was effective. We passed it. We got it done. I know you're chuckling. You know I'm right.
I know.
Look, side note. it is the Chamber of Commerce, Wall Street Journal Republicans who have totally screwed our country for 2 decades.
Yep.
Because they want their cheap labor. They want to sit down at the Rio Grande. They want to have a sign that says no trespassing while they're going wink, wink, nod, nod with another sign saying help wanted, come on in. We don't give a crap whether our border's wide open. We don't give a crap if terrorists are coming again. We don't give a crap if cartels are empowered. We don't give a crap if our kids are dying from fentanyl. That's what's happening right now. So we've got a bill that we passed that was good, bird in hand. We should use it to negotiate and get border security. We have a bird in hand, which is caps on spending. They weren't the caps that Glenn Beck and Chip Roy would negotiate, but they were caps that actually now, if we were to pass a continuing resolution for the rest of this year, they would trigger $1.562 trillion, which would mean we would cut spending between $40 and $70 billion, rather than
which
monstrosity, which is additional $100 billion.
Can I just point out that's not a lot of money when you're spending $4 trillion. I mean,
Right.
it's honestly, it's like going to Bill Gates and saying, Bill, your spending is out of control, and I noticed you bought 4 new cars last year. That we gotta stop spending the 4 new cars.
Right.
4 new cars. He's got a Boeing business jet he's running around in. I mean, this is so ridiculous to talk about these small numbers as being so substantial, because they're not. We lost, what was it, $250 billion? We just lost last year. Just lost. Sent it out to the wrong people, overpaid. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, Glenn, it's absolutely ridiculous, the amount of waste and the spending. But more importantly, we're funding the very bureaucrats that are targeting you and me and undermining our freedom. We're targeting IRS, and we're funding IRS agents. We're funding DOJ bureaucrats that go after the former president, go after you and me, go after Mark Halk in Philadelphia. We're funding a DHS to not secure the border, and that smug Alejandro Mayorkas to sit up there on the stage and laugh at us and blame it on Texas. We're funding the lawyers to go to the Supreme Court and challenge Texas in court, saying we can't cut razor wire. I mean, you can't even put it into words. I got to be honest with you. I'm on the ground in Iowa, okay? I'm meeting with voters every day, very focused voters, and they are ready to rumble. They are ready for a change. They are sick and tired of what's going on in the swamp. They want somebody new. They want a new direction. They want some change. And not to get into the political side, I'm out here stumping for Governor DeSantis, obviously, but they want somebody who will actually do what they friggin' said they would do, like Governor DeSantis did in Florida. And look, he's never flip-flopped. And I heard on your show earlier, you asked about Vivek. I like Vivek. He says a lot of great things. But he's flip-flopped a million times on vaccines, on Trump, COVID generally. I could go down a list. Governor DeSantis has delivered up and down. And so Governor DeSantis cut spending. Governor DeSantis took on Fauci. Governor DeSantis took on COVID tyranny. He took on Disney and won. He's now got Miami-Dade teachers' unions on the run. He got universal school choice passed. He's got an economy booming. That guy is actually a machine. I've never seen anything like it, and I've worked for some good people. You know that.
Right.
Guy
I
is
know.
actually crushing it, and he's doing great out here in Iowa.
I am a big fan of Ron DeSantis. I'd vote for him in a heartbeat. Big fan of Ron DeSantis. And again, I think the only reason why Ron DeSantis is not doing real well is because people are saying, well, I'll take Donald Trump because it's Ron DeSantis. I don't think it is the same thing, but that I think is what people are thinking. Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis.
Well, hold on. Let's just compare apples to oranges there, right? If you want to talk about the border, Governor DeSantis has stood up. He's fought to get bills passed there. When he was in the House, he stood up to fight for good border security bills. In 2018, Governor DeSantis was against Paul Ryan's amnesty bill. Donald Trump was for it. Governor DeSantis will actually fight birthright citizenship. President Trump said in 2016 he would sign an executive order on birthright citizenship. He didn't do it. Donald Trump said he would build the wall and have Mexico pay for it. He then got up and gave excuses to, well, we have no mechanism to make them pay for it. We didn't get it built. They didn't pay for it. Ron DeSantis stood up against Fauci, shut down COVID tyranny. Frickin' President Trump gave Fauci a commendation on his way out of office in January of 2021. Look, I can go down the list even further, but there's no comparison. I mean, Governor DeSantis is the guy we've been waiting for who will deliver, and he can serve for 8 years. I love President Trump for what he did to shake up the swamp. But let's just be clear. He did not deliver. He didn't repeal Obamacare. He let Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell wag him around town We didn't get Obamacare repealed. Now you and I are screwed sitting here with high health care costs, letting insurance companies run our health care system. And instead of actually having a health care freedom, we empowered Anthony Fauci to screw Americans. Like, how many things do you have to fail on to then go around and say what a great president you were compared to a governor who's literally delivered on every single measure on the report card? This is why President Trump will not debate Governor DeSantis, because Governor DeSantis would actually clean his clock if he compared his batting record with the former president.
So let me go back to the budget, the border, everything that is happening in America now. Americans are starting to cancel all of their streaming services. There's a great story in my show prep today about the restaurant owner that has broke down the math that causes him to charge $16 for a BLT sandwich. And when you read it, at first you're like, $16 for a BLT. Come on, man. And then when you read it, you're like, okay, I'm surprised he's only charging $16 for that BLT. Americans feel it. They know their country is being taken. They know the Justice Department is completely out of control. The Pentagon didn't even have a leader for a week. And we're starting to feel like, wow, we're at the end of this thing. What do we do if the people in Washington don't listen to the people? What do we do?
Well, there's a number of things. One, we got to elect somebody good. I've already said my piece on that. We got to get a president who will do it. Number two, we in Congress have to keep holding ourselves accountable, and the people need to keep holding us accountable to do what we said we would do in Washington. I'm going to go back and fight this week. I'm going to keep shining the light on it. That's actually new. Take hope. We actually have a group of us there who are actually doing the hard work of exposing all the garbage in these bills and making it harder for these guys to capitulate. We'll get there. Have hope that people like Riley Gaines are stood up to the woke establishment, and people like Scott Smith stood up to all of the abuses in Virginia. Take hope that Chloe Cole stood up and said, you know what, these forced transition surgeries are garbage, or Mark Houck stood up to the DOJ in Philadelphia. We should follow their lead. The American people should stand up and reclaim their inheritance and keep pushing. Get people elected this year who will fight. Pay attention to who they are. Get out there and make a difference, and keep holding us accountable. But also, remember, if we want to save this country, you talked about inflation, talked about how everybody's suffering. We have got to open up American energy. We don't talk about that enough. The Democrats are jamming through all of their subsidies for EVs. I don't think the American people know there is a rule they're about to embrace that will mandate 2/3 EVs by 2032. That will destroy the internal combustion engine. It will destroy our ability to afford automobiles. It will crush the economy, drive the cost of goods and services up. And I just want Republicans for one frigging moment to fight Democrats with half of the energy that Democrats fight our country and our freedom. That's when I'm going to go back to Washington. When I fly back tomorrow, I'm going to absolutely rip into my Republican colleagues for this debacle of a spending bill. And we're going to keep trying to force their hand.
Chip, there's another story about the Supreme Court taking on the Donald Trump ballot case. They're taking their own sweet time to do it. But this is something that is sweeping America. If they take Donald Trump off the ballot, again, what do people do?
Well, it's a great question. First of all, what they're doing, and look, I supported Donald Trump in 2016, supported him in 2020 because they're nominee. I'll support him. What they're doing against him in Colorado is an absolute travesty. It's politicizing the entire process. There is no conviction for insurrection. It's all a joke. They're doing it purposely and politically. We're going to have to start responding in kind. I'm willing. I think this court will strike this down and we'll call this out for what it is. But we'll see, right? And then, if they don't, then I can assure you there's going to be then reactions, as Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said in Texas. I think even Governor DeSantis has brought it up. Like, we start saying that, Joe Biden needs to be pulled off the ballot because he's been a complete abomination, violating our laws, violating his oath to the Constitution, endangering the American people, aiding and abetting our enemies in the cartels who are flooding our country. So how is that not in violation of the 14th Amendment, that, aiding and abetting your enemies? That's the language in the 14th Amendment. So if we're going to play that game and adjudicate that based on the whims of whatever a state wants to decide, as opposed to some actual conviction after a civil war, a demonstration of insurrection after a civil war, as was intended in the 14th Amendment, then what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. We're going to have to fight fire with fire. Right now, let's hope and pray the court gets this right. I think they will, but man, these are strange times, so we'll see what happens. I assume you're like me that you think they will, but
I think they will. But the Democrats, again, I think they will, and that will pass. But the Democrats will use that as, this out of control conservative court. Just has to be. Yeah. We have to have other new people on. We got to get rid of these people. I mean, that's what they're going to use it for.
I mean, that's the political game they'll play. But then we just use it against them and say this is why we need a court. I mean, look, we've got a couple of our guys getting older. Sam Alito and Justice Thomas. I mean, God bless them. They're our two most conservative justices, and we got to replace those guys with people at least as good or better. Because the three that Trump appointed were good, but they're not as good as those guys. Like, they're not Scalia and Thomas, right? They're just not, they're just okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Chip, thank you so much. Enjoy the weather in Iowa.
It's lovely. It ain't Dallas, I can tell you that. By the way, our good friends at Patriot Mobile, I'm glad you're advertising for them. They're good friends. And God bless you, and I'll be back in Texas sometime soon.
You got it. Thank you. All right, that's Chip Roy from the great state of Texas, who's out on the campaign trail for Governor DeSantis today, talking a little bit about the new deal the Republicans have cut to cut all this spending. No, I've never been for a continuation, but I think I am this time because there's more cuts in just giving a continuation of the spending bill for another year. What good are the Republicans at this point?